morning.
Good morning.
For those who heard me give the vestry announcements last month, I made the mistake of trying to read off my phone and discovered my eyes are no longer good enough for that, so I brought the iPad. I have not yet seen the optometrist that you were recommending, but thank you for sitting along. I'm Charley Coffey. I'm privileged to be a member of your vestry, and thank you for the chance to speak with you just a little bit today. I grew up in the Episcopal Church. I was an acolyte in the small parish of St. Mary's in western North Carolina. I was confirmed, and then I went away to high school and to college after that. And during that time, I hardly gave a thought to my spiritual life. And then I began to revisit the church in medical school, but I really was just a visitor during those years as I explored what role, if any, the church would play in my adult life. And then during my surgical residency, I experienced both the greatest growth and the greatest doubts in my spiritual life thus far. I met my wife, Christine, and we started attending Holy Trinity Church in Charleston, South Carolina. We joined 4 other couples in a very active and diverse Bible study that helped me better define and understand my own faith. And then we moved to La Jolla a little over a decade ago and regularly attended, but never really felt quite at home in several different congregations over the next 5 or 6 year period. And then finally moved to Del Mar in 2016. And during our first month living in our new home, we visited St. Peter's, and it very quickly became apparent to both of us that this was the church home that we've been looking for. I'd like to describe for you just one episode that I think really helps me to summarize one of the things that I love so much about St. Peter's. We'd been coming for about a year, and my daughter Elise was born, somewhere in that time. She's a big 5-year-old kindergartner now, but at the time was still a wee little infant, sleeping through most every service. She slept through her own baptism right up here. But at some point in the first half of one service, she started to be a little fussy, as little infants will do when they're hungry. And so Christine took her out to the patio to feed, and the Eucharist started, and I came up and took communion, and they still weren't back. So I grabbed the diaper bag, thinking there may be some excitement going on, and I went out to join her. And we got everything taken care of there, and I left Christine and Elise in the ladies' room as I came back in. As I was crossing the patio, about to come in through the north transept, Mother Page, having finished communion here, was racing out in her vestments across the patio and said, "Where's Christine?" I said, "She's in the ladies' room." And Paige whisked into the ladies' room to give her communion, which she had missed. And that to me really drove home the message that St. Peter's meets you where you are. Whether it be right up here at the altar, or out in the community, or in the ladies' room. All of us, people of faith, are on a spiritual journey, but I think most of us come to realize at some point that the journey is not linear. And in fact, it's not always upward in trajectory. We don't go through life getting closer and closer and closer to God. Each of us goes through periods of growth and renewal and feeling nearer to God, and also times of doubt and questioning, times when our faith is tested. And this is why I particularly love the invitation that we hear at St. Peter's recite prior to taking communion. We'll hear it just a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again now because it just speaks to me every time I hear it. "So come, you who have much faith, and you who have little, you who have been here often, and you who have not been for a long time or ever before. You who have tried to follow, and you who have failed. Come not because the church invites you, it is Christ, and he invites you to meet him here." One of the reasons it is so joyful for me and my family to give to St. Peter's is that I know my church, our church, is using our gifts to meet people where they are, wherever that might be. Whether it's fostering the spiritual growth of our own congregation via the adult forums, or the youth ministry, or the godly play that my own children so love, or the Eucharistic visitors taking communion out to those unable to join us here, or in our broader community by providing shoes and clothing, backpacks and toiletries via Helping Hands or the Showers of Blessings ministry, or supporting the unhoused via the Interfaith Shelter, or outreach through the diocese with ECS, and you'll hear from Elizabeth a little later today about some of the amazing work that they're doing to engage with our communities in areas of homelessness and mental health, treatment of substance abuse disorders, and early childhood education. St. Peter's is going where the need is great or small, and meeting people where they are. St. Peter's is at San Diego Pride. It's south of the border at the Vida Hope Orphanage in Tijuana, and across oceans supporting Joy to the World School in Namibia, helping an Afghan woman relocate her family to safety in Europe, helping Ukrainian refugees right here in San Diego. To quote our value statement, at St. Peter's, we value everyone and welcome all to find a place to belong in the worship, fellowship, and ministries of this parish. This is a big part of why this parish has so quickly become a beloved church home for my family, and why Christiane and I are grateful for the opportunity to support our church and its mission to celebrate and share the love of Christ. We invite you to join us, help St. Peter's thrive by giving of your time and your talents and your financial support so that it can continue to meet each of us and our community and our world wherever we may be.